Hey everyone, I'm James Otter of Otter Surfboards, where we design and make wooden surfboards here in Cornwall. And I'm going to show you how we turn these into one of these. Welcome to part 3 of how we make our wooden surfboards. So far, in the previous videos, you've seen us make a frame and glue it onto our bottom skin, which I've got here. Today's video, we're going to be gluing our rail strips onto the side of the surfboard to build up those rails. The first 2 rail strips that I'm going to be gluing onto our surfboard are square in profile, and they're going to fit on in this little notch that's on the edge of all of our ribs and run from the tail all the way up to the nose. To fit them in, I'm going to use some of our 5-minute polyurethane glue. I'm going to apply that onto the deck, squeeze the first one in and spread the glue across the deck, and then pinch that at each end with a clamp. And then I'm going to use the second one to get right in, and then I'm going to put clamps all the way along the rail to make sure they're nice and secure while the glue goes off. It's exciting. Checking that there's enough glue on the outside here to pick up the next rail strip. The first place that I'm going to apply the clamps is right next to each rib, because we trust that the framework is correct. So we want to make sure all of our rail strips go right back to where the ribs want them to be. The next clamps that I'm going to be using are these, which are just 4-inch PVC soil pipe that have been cut into strips about 1.5 inches wide. And then one cut through them means that they work great as little spring clamps, and you can layer them up to make them stronger if you want a bit more tension on them. These are great for pinching those 2 strips together. Right, so now I need to wait for that glue to go off. And everything that we do to one rail, we need to do to the other side as well. So I'm going to get on with gluing those ones on. Now that the glue's gone off, I've taken the clamps off ready to get our next rail strip on. The next one isn't like those other ones that were square. This one has a round over on the top, or what we like to call a bead. And that's going to start the ones that nest in each other as we build our way up the rails. And if you're interested in how we make all of our rail strips, we made a separate video all about that, which you can find in the description below. But for now, to be able to get this one on, I need to clean up the glue that's spilled out of place. And to do that, I'm going to scrape it off using an old chisel. Right, so this one with that round over is going to sit with the round over facing the ceiling, so it's going to nest on the outside of those 2 previous square ones. So I'm going to use the same glue, run a bead down the outside and get it clamped on. as I've gone along there, putting those extra clamps on, I've made sure that that gap is completely closed up so that that outside rail strip is really tight against those first two square ones. Those square ones that follow the rib give us that really neat, nice idea of the outline of the board. So everything we do has to fit onto those to make sure that the rails end up exactly where we want them. So I'm going to wait for that glue to go off, and in the meantime, get the next one glued on the other side. Now I've taken the clamps off, cleaned up all of the excess glue. The next rail strip I'm going to put on needs to sit on top of that one that we've just applied. And as we put the clamps on, the pressure is going to be on the corner of the bottom skin. And as you can see, it overhangs in quite a few places. So I'm going to trim that back to that last rail strip we put on, and then we'll get going from there. We've got those first 3 rail strips on, which we tend to call our starter strips. So the next one to go on is our number 4. And this one has a concave on the bottom, or a cove on the bottom, and a bead on the top. And the concave on the bottom needs to follow the bead that was on that number 3. But as we work our way down towards the tail and towards the nose of the board gets thinner, and so this rail strip is going to need to twist over to be able to stay with those ribs. And to do that, that inside edge of that concave is going to be in the way. It's going to stop the roll over. So I need to take this one, mark off kind of where that rotation starts, and take out that inside edge so that we can follow those ribs nice and neatly to give us the rail shape that we really want at the end. So to do that, I'm going to use a little block plane and take off the excess. So I'm going to mark these next ones up, one for each side, and then go over to the table at the front, get the block plane out. With that number 4 that's going to be glued on, with the amount of twisting that's involved, we're going to be using some hot water to steam either end of this. So I need to apply some glue, steam the rail strip, and then fix it down. What the steaming does is it softens the lignin in the wood, which are the structural fibres, and allows you to manipulate them more than you normally would without the wood breaking. So it's great for us to get this twist and bend that we need at the nose and tail. With those number 4 rail strips glued on, the rest are going to stack on top of that because we've done that main twist. So they're fairly straightforward, but I do need to get kind of 5 or 6 more on each side. So I'm going to set about working my way through that. The process is exactly the same as I've just done. Apply some glue to the rail, steam the rail strip so that it can bend and twist if we need it to, and then get it clamped on. Now I've finished building up those rail strips. I've got about 10 on each side, and as you can see, they get a little bit shorter as we build up to the middle where there's the most volume, so we've got to have more rail strips to get to where we want to be. And I really love the rail strips going on because you get a real sense of the template of the board, but also the way those rails are going to finish and feel at the end because of the way they follow the ribs and that internal framework. The next things that I need to do are cut some bits off to fit nose and tail blocks, get some things fitted for the fins, and prepare the whole surface for the top to go on. and you'll be able to see all of that in our next video. If you've enjoyed this video, feel free to like and subscribe below. And if you'd like to join us to make your own surfboard, or you'd like to order a custom from us, you can find out more information at ottersurfboards.co.uk. Thanks for watching.